Welcome back, and we're going to keep this intro short. We're going to take a look at Analog Efex inside of Nik Collection 8. The Analog Efex are my favorite part of the whole collection. A lot of times you'll see me use Silver Efex and Analog Efex together, but today I'm just going to run through you and show you everything that's inside of the program and what it can do. We're going to create a cool little image. Make sure you do watch the whole video. I have a discount code that was given to me by DxO for you to get 15% off the program. So let's slide on over and take a look at Analog Efex. All right, we're back and we're going to take a look at my favorite plugin inside of the Nik Collection, and that's the Analog. Just so you remember, you can come up here, plugins, we can go down to Nik Collection, and you can select any of them. In my case, the big A that we see right here, that's Analog Efex. We're going to go ahead and select that image and go ahead and open it. We're going to see what we can do to this gentleman here. And so if you haven't watched Silver Efex, I do go through some of it, but we will quickly just kind of brush through in case this is your first time and you've never looked at any of the applications inside the Nik Collection by DxO. Right here is just a search function. So categories is this information here. You can kind of turn it on and turn it off. But later you can favorite a lot of stuff so that everything that you really like is impersonal. It just kind of makes it easier to go through everything and set up things because you can build your own custom presets to just make your workflow a whole lot faster. Presets are just looks. So if we were to click on this, we could scroll through. These are a whole bunch of different analog effects that they have loaded into the application. What I want to show you is the filters. So right here, we've got our filters, and essentially, presets are just a combination of these pre-made for you. Down here we've got last edits. So if we were to open this, last time I used it, what did I create? Well, those are some of the things I might have created. So that would be what last edits is. History is just a history state. It allows you to go back. You can do Command Z once in this program, but after you do it once, I don't think it lets you go back anymore. So that's important to know. These are just some view options. So right now we're on compare view. We have kind of a little slider where you can slide a before and after. We're gonna stay here. We can zoom in, we can view it 1-to-1. Right now we're 103%. So it's a little bit bigger than normal. I could come in here easily and just say, hey, I only wanna see this at 100%. And it would be like that. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the filters because yeah, that's what most people are gonna care about here. So on the right-hand side, we have a list of everything here. Notice when I hover over it, it gives us a little plus. That's to activate it. This is just to add to a category. What we care about is the plus. So we're gonna hit the plus, and that's simply just going to add it, okay? So when I click plus, you'll notice over here, the window for lens distortion pops up. This is where we manipulate it. We add it on the left, we manipulate it on the right. I'm going to be making drastic, unrealistic adjustments a lot of times in this so you can see what is going on. So we are just essentially adding some lens distortions to this image, and you can see here it's kind of stretching it, making it go out of focus. Right here it's called pin cushion. If we want more of a barrel effect where it is enlarging the center portion of the image, we can do that. We can adjust the chromatic shift in the image. You can see here the green and the yellow kind of popping up to give us that effect, sort of that glitch effect that you see a lot of times. And we can defocus this image as well. And for the chromatic aberration, you can control the different colors. So if I wanted blue and yellow, I could switch it to blue and yellow. If I wanted to flip the green and red, we could flip the green and red just like that. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to turn that off. So I'm just going to get rid of it so it goes away. Next, we have bokeh. So we can come in here, click bokeh, come over here, we can adjust the bokeh strength. Notice that we have sort of a vignette. So the way this works is between this and this, it's going to be 100% of it not affecting the image. And then it's going to feather it from 0 to 100%, and from here out, it's going to be 100%. So you can see right now it's blurring his face. If I didn't want it to blur his face, I could adjust this by grabbing any of these little points and trying to get it closer to the length of his head. And then I can grab this and slide it over, and it's going to keep that area in focus, but then blur out from there. I can control my blur strength, so if I wanted to add some more blur, I can go ahead and add more blur just like that. If I want this distance to be greater, I can easily slide that out. I don't want it to go off his head, so I can grab it there. I can come here and slide it down, and we're adjusting that image. When I go out, it kind of will show what's going on. We'll leave that one. Right here, we've got zoom and rotate blur. This is just a different blur effect. It's gonna twist and do it. So if you've ever taken a picture and zoomed your zoom at the same time with a slow shutter speed, it gives this motion effect where it kind of bursts out from the center. That's what we're doing here. I'm going to come in here and click the X to get rid of it because we don't want to make this video too long. Next, we've got motion blur, and this does similar to what we saw in the rotate blur, but this one, it's showing us the motion so we can control the motion, and so it's blurring it in a direction, and whichever way I point this direction, it's going to blur that image. All right, just like before. We're going to click off this one. We don't want to see that one. We've got a double exposure. Double exposure was really popular back in the film days. So we can click this, and you can see up here we've got control of image 1 and image 2. We've also got some advanced adjustments here, so we can manipulate that. I've got my image 1, but then I would come in here and I could select. So after I click that plus, I can come in, I can select an image, I can hit open, and then it's going to make that image is my second image. So I've got image 1 and image 2, and now I'm combining those two images together in what we call a multiple exposure. The cool thing is we can control the balance of it now. So now that I've got those two images in here and integrated, I can control and have one more prominent than the other. So I can slide this little slider here and kind of adjust this and get it exactly the way that I wanted. All right, so we'll just go ahead and leave that since it's sort of interesting looking, and we can come down to film type. Film type, I think, is something that everyone's going to find interesting. So right here we've got film, and we've got warm, cool, subtle, black and white neutral, and black and white tones. So if we want to take a look at the warm ones, we can come in here, we can select that, and it's going to give us a look. I can come down here and select that. It's going to give us a different look. We can fade that. We can control the strength. We can control the grain in it and the hardness. This is film type, so we are applying a film type to this image, all right? And if we don't like the warms, we can switch and go to something else. It is purely up to you. Right here we have basic adjustments. Basic adjustments is already up, so we've got the basic adjustments right here. You can localize the adjustments, essentially making what we call selective adjustments there. All right, down here in the local adjustments, we have different ways to control selective adjustments. So we can do elliptical control points, we can do a control line, a polygon. This is probably my favorite. It's a luminosity mask. I'm going to show you how that works because most people won't understand it. In a color mask. So we're going to click on this, and then we're going to click on a point that we want to adjust. So in this case, what should I pick? I don't know. I'm going to pick a darker color, I think. So I'm going to click right there, okay? And it's picking that area, and it's selected. If you come down here, you can see it's in those shadows. We can adjust these points to make it wider or narrower depending on what we want to do. We can also select this point, and we also can control this essentially by numbers. It's giving you different zones. So I've got 10, which would be white, and right now we're down here in the darker areas. And what we can do, we can come up in here, we can either adjust these adjustments or we can come over here and adjust them. They do the exact same thing. So as you hover over them, it tells you what it is. It's got little initials, okay? So if I want to extract detail, I can slide that. If I want to darken the brightness, I can go that way. If I want to brighten the brightness. And notice it's localized in the fact that it's only happening in that area that we've selected right here. So they're pretty cool. A lot of times when you have like blacks all over the place, they'd be difficult to select. So a luminosity mask can really help you kind of control what you're adjusting. These are a little funky for people if they've never seen it because it's a little bit different, but it gives you an insane amount of control over an image. We're going to not use this, so I'm going to just go back in time. So we've gone back. Let's open up filters again. Next we have levels and curves. So that's just going to give you your histogram, and you're working in a curved manner instead of a slider histogram. Right here we have dirt and scratches. This is probably one of my favorite elements. And what's cool is a lot of times I'll be in Silver Efex, and Silver Efex doesn't have a lot of the options that are in the Analog Efex. So what I'll do is I'll do certain aspects in Silver Efex, and then if I do want something like dirt and scratches, then I simply save that layer over to Photoshop, and then I open it back up in Analog Efex, and I can come in here and do that. And you can see there's a whole bunch of different ones. So let's do some that are a little bit stronger so we can see the effect. So I will select this dirt and scratches, and you can see it's applied those dirt and scratches to it. Just like in the other ones, we can just do scratches, we can do organic, and then we have some that are called eroded. So if I wanted to try this eroded one, I could click on eroded, and it will add that. If that is too strong, I have an opacity slider where I can slide the strength of it. If I don't like it, I can simply remove it or select something different. So let's just go back up here, and we're going to select something simple for this image. All right, that looks pretty good, but we're going to lower that. That looks good. So let's move on. Next, we have light leaks. And so light leaks were when you would shoot film, if you accidentally got your film exposed to white light, either you forgot to rewind it in your camera before you open the door, or you have a cheap camera and it leaks light, which were something popular like in Diana cameras back in the day, or a Holga. In this case, we can just add it manually. So right here, we've got a whole bunch of different types of light leaks. We can do crisp, we can do dynamic, and then we can just simply come in here and apply those to the image. So you can come through and click on all the different light leaks to see what you like. You can control the strength and opacity. So right now it's at 50%. I can increase that, or I can decrease that to add texture to my image. Right here we have photo plate. So think of this as really old technology. This is the idea that you were doing glass plate negatives a lot. So this is sort of the texture or effects that you might see in that. So we can come in here and apply those different textures to it. So right now that's at 100. I might not want it at 100. I can lower this and get it to wherever I want. That looks pretty good. We'll go ahead and quit. We have a vignette. So we can come in here, add a vignette. Simple. We can manipulate the vignette by grabbing this and controlling it. So down here we can make it either a circle or a rectangle depending on how we want this vignette to work. So I'm going to make the size a little bigger and then maybe a little smaller to get it exactly how I wanted. I can come here and pull it there and slide it around, and then I can control the amount of the vignette. Right now it is a little too strong, right? So you can go all black, or you can go the other way and get white. So 50% would be in the center. So we'll just add a small vignette. That looks pretty good. Right here we have paper textures, so we can select the plus. It's going to give us different paper textures. So notice this one is using blending modes as well. So multiply would be increasing the dark areas. If we go to something like screen, that is going to work in aspect where it is applying the light areas. If you don't understand blending modes and how they work, I do have a video explaining the different blending modes inside of Photoshop, and that will help. What's cool here is they don't have as many, they just have simplified it. So back to paper textures, we can simply just kind of come through here and select any paper texture that we like. One cool thing is let's try a overlay or a screen. So that does it by contrast. Screen is lightness, soft light. That is a contrast blending mode. So I can select that, and then I can lower the opacity if I don't want it. So we've added paper textures as well. Yes, there's a lot of stuff on here. This one is kind of cool. Some people are going to either love this or hate it. So let's go ahead and do this. You can see it creates these different frames here. And we can come over and we can select the way the frames are applied to the image, right? We'll just go ahead and select the 4. We can control the border width, so I can make my borders wider or more narrow. I can make the borders black. I can also get rid of the border color. I'm going to make my borders black, and we can change the variation strength of the image, the variation type. We can also vary the effect. So it says click to vary the effect. We can just click that and it's going to apply that effect just a little bit differently. If you're not sure what you're doing, it will give you some different looks to see if you like these different things. I went into history, I got rid of that preset, I went back, I didn't like the vary. We also have this where we can do a slider of different variations, and it has some kind of preset looks that they've set up for you. In this case, we're not going to use the multi-lens. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. The last things are frames or borders. I'm going to click the plus. You can see it's giving us some borders. We have the ability to try different ones. I like the white ones. We're going to come in here and select something. This is going to give us a frame or border around our image. So right now we have this kind of wide border in this image. If we want to narrow that, we can control the scale and how it's applied. So I can slide this if I want to get rid of some of that white space, but basically keep the effect. We can do that. And yes, we have a ton of different things to choose as far as options. So if we love what we have done and we want to save this as a preset, we could simply come up here and we can go save preset. And I'm going to call this analog test preset, because I'll probably adjust this. It says save with local adjustments. So we can go ahead if we made some local adjustments, and we're going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, that's going to save that preset. To save this back to Photoshop, we can send it as a layer. You'll see right here, you can also apply in some different manners. We can apply it as a smart object, an active layer, a new layer, and a new layer with mask. In this case, we're going to send it as a layer. So that's going to be happy. It's going to send it as a layer. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make some variations of this so I can show you how send as a layer works, since I love it so much. And we're just going to go back in time. So I could come back here and go to multi-lens right there. I can send this as a layer. And then I can come here to last vignette added. And let's actually go back farther. So before light leaks, let's go to right there. That's our thing, and we're going to send that as a layer. So now we have 3 different versions of this image. So I've gone way back to bokeh, and we've removed that second image. In this case, instead of hitting send as a layer, I'm going to hit apply. What this is going to do, it's going to send all those variations over to Adobe Photoshop. However, give it a second, because it has to process each one of those one at a time. So it's going to take a little bit of time. You'll start to see everything appearing here on the right hand side. Depending on the speed of your computer, it's either going to be faster or slower. All right, we're back, and as you can see, we have all of our images processed. So the first one is on here. I could turn that on or off. That's the image we started with. This was the first option, and essentially we were just blurring the background. The next one that we had here, we've added kind of all of our effects to it. So this was essentially, I think, our final image. Then we had this one, which was a little earlier, using the multi-lens. And then another variation earlier on in what we did. And that's it for DxO's Nik Collection 8 Analog Efex. The most important thing I can tell you is to go in and play around and start saving what you like and kind of create that little favorites. That's going to help you get around. Once you get some effects that you like, you can apply those. And the great thing about presets are they're just presets. You can adjust the presets from there, because look, what one preset does on one image isn't going to work perfectly. That's why you need to kind of go in there and understand how the program works so you can manipulate it to get it exactly how you like. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did and could give us a thumbs up, that would be great. Don't forget to subscribe and have an absolutely wonderful day.